Okay, take two. So I been doing trial runs all night long, and has to start over there. So let's just do that just to start. So my issue is that all night basically this thing's run flawlessly, and of course I just made one video the first time before bed and it didn't work. So this is take two. This is what I talked about when I talked about show ready. Something that works 60% of the time or 40% of the time or even 80% of the time is not really show ready. So I don't know if this is ever going to be a mass product of my layout in public displays. And I don't know, but it is, I built it for the OBB CSL, the classic space layout. But let's talk while this thing's working. So you hit run. The very first part of the program is to set up the arm and the location. So the setup is the arm has to be raised, and of course it has a stop, so that's as high as it's going to get, and then the slip gear is going to slip. So that works fine, perfectly fine. And it's going to spin around until that back piece hits the switch there, like that, and now it's found to zero degrees. And now it's going to start the rest of the program. So that's the setup. Now it knows where it is, knows the arm is up, knows where zero is, so it knows all 360 degrees. And now it's going to come down. This is my favorite part. This is the part that always works. That's the part that if it was just this, it's 100% show ready, because this part always works. And this part is just to grab the shuttle. Put on the shuttle, and it picks up the shuttle. Now, again, I stole this entire arm mechanism from Mars missions on the original RIS set. It had Division Command, and it had Extreme Creatures. It had another one I can't remember. I think Extreme Creatures came with a rotation sensor, and Mars missions came with, well, I can't remember now. So anyway, this thing's gonna come down now, and it's gonna land, and you'll see I made some slight modifications to the shuttle because it just makes it a little easier, because this goes right into place like that. So can't complain about that at all. And now it's just gonna come back, let it go, and then the arm's gonna come back up. So that's 50% of the program so far. Moving it from one shuttle to the other, one vehicle to the other. Now I will say that the vehicles themselves are actually bricked to the base plate, so they don't move, because they have to be in that specific spot. Sorry, that's what has to happen. So I'm okay with that. And oh yeah, so this is the second half of the program. Don't look at that guy; he'll bite your eyes out. The second half of the program is to put it back. Now, this is not the program I have planned for the show. I have to build one more big thing, and then a few other little things on these crater plates. Obviously, I'm gonna build something else to store the shuttles and stuff, because I think that'll look cool. And I still have one more motor output to use over there. So I have an idea for storage of the shuttles themselves. So I planned, this is the bigger plan, so there's two here, two vehicles here, one there, one there. There's gonna, oh, I hope I didn't just screw it up. But I'm gonna have another vehicle on this side. So there's gonna be 3 spots to put the shuttle, and they're just hopefully gonna put them on random. And let's see if this comes down nicely. I'm gonna find out, because I touched it, and that usually moves it enough that it screws it up. Oh no. It worked. Escape. And it just slides off. And there you go. So that's the entire program. They finalize this by lifting the arm again. So 1 RCX, 2 motors, 1 rotation sensor, 1 touch sensor, and this is what I got. A fantastic arm that can move a shuttle around. The arm itself, pretty simplistic. It's a little quote-unquote simpler than the other robotic arm that I've been putting videos up about, because there's no second stage arm here. So I only had to have one power, one active power source axle coming through the turntable, and this comes straight up into this worm gear here, which turns this 24 tooth, which pulls these things back or forward, which lifts the arm up and down. So and then the other motor basically just turns, there's the gear there, just turns the turntable. So 2 motors to 1 gear for the turntable, 1 gearing for the 24, the worm to 24, which lifts up the arm and puts down the arm. That's all you needed for that. But the robot, the RCX needs to know where this thing is in the 360 degrees of circle. So that's what the rotation sensor is for. You can put, if you wanted, you could put like a touch sensor at every 90 degrees all the way around, so you can get rid of the rotation sensor. I just find it's a lot easier to know where it is at all times. And of course, the program is going to have built into it every once in a while, sporadically, to go back to 0, test for 0 again. So, and obviously it's also gonna have the, hey, press a button in order for this thing to start. So, you know, so you're not wearing out, you're not making plastic dust and having the thing run through an entire show, which is what happened to me last time, because it ran for about an hour, and then I walked away and I came back and the whole thing was like completely pooched because just the plastic dust just kind of built up with all the, because these things are spinning fast and there's a lot of rotation. Like, I mean, I had to gear down the motors a lot in order for it to run this slowly. So if it runs continuously, you're gonna find a lot of plastic dust that we used to have at our robot competitions all the time. And that causes it a lot more friction, a lot more binding, a lot more, you know, temperamental nature. That's why I never bothered continuing with the robotic arm last time, because of the temperamental stuff, because of the plastic dust would just build up on all the gears and axles, and it just stopped working nicely. And then I had to replace all the gears and axles all the time, and that just got to be a pain. So I'm hoping this one, because it's not gonna be running all the time, it's not gonna be running consistently all the time, it's just gonna be running when somebody presses a button, that it's just gonna be just fine. We will find out. Let's just run that again to see if it gets 2 in a row. Oh yeah, wait. So it ran perfectly, flawlessly the first time through, which is nice. Maybe I'll just get a different view of what's going on here. I'll start with an overhead, because the overhead's kind of, you know, whatever. So it's gonna find itself, center itself. And that's, as I said, there's a touch sensor there, and it just touches that. It says, hey, that's the 0 degrees. So this is 0, this is 90, this is 180, and that's 270. So from here, 0, 90, 180, 270. Right now it's at whatever, 225. To go down to, I didn't bother putting the 45-degree angle anymore. I moved it closer to the shuttle because it was actually interfering with this motor. This piece here was hitting the motor at the 45-degree mark. So I moved it over to like maybe the 55 or 60-degree mark. So it could get over the shuttle still at the 90-degree mark, or, well, in that case, the 270-degree mark. You know, the rotation sensor on the old RCX is very accurate. It is to about 270, especially when you actually gear it down and you can have lots of rotation to get it even more minute, granular. That's the word I was looking for. More granular on the where the rotation sensor is. And we're just gonna watch this thing come down. Now, my older version of this, I changed the vehicle a lot more than I did here. I'll show you in a sec when this thing's off. This one, I just put a couple 2x2s under here, so there's always going to be a slope to the tiles that this thing's resting on, because then it slides to the back and to the L bracket, which is nice. But what I had to do before is I got a 2x2x2. I'm making a video, bud. I'll be off in a sec. A 2x2x2 slope on the back. Where am I? I put a 2x2 slope on the back, on top of the whatever. Actually, I can do it back here. I got rid of the L bracket, and I put a 2x2x2 slope on the back, so the shuttle would always go sliding forward if it came down wrong. But this way, I think if it's always on a little bit of an angle, the L bracket overall doesn't interfere, because sometimes the shuttle gets picked up by here and it's a little too far back, and when it goes onto the platform over there, it hits the back of the L bracket. That's the number one issue. It doesn't go on top of the carriage properly. It doesn't go on top of here properly because this hits this part here. But on the angle, it's farther back, I'm hoping. So far, we're good. And I'll just follow this thing around. And then when this is done, I have to go see Josh. And then we're just gonna watch this thing land or be put onto the shuttle here, onto the vehicle here. It almost was on the back, so it just slipped off, which is nice. And then I'll just come off. There we go. Now, what I do is I put these little wedge, the cheese pieces, the cheese slopes on here. So no matter if it's coming down a little bit, it'll just always fall into place on top of this thing. So that works pretty well. So I'm okay with that. The other change I said is I put just two 2x2s here, so it's always going to be on this bit of an angle. I'm okay with that. And of course, I put this whole, it's one stud offset, a half a stud offset. I use the jumper plates, the jumper tiles, to get a half stud offset because the arm, the pinchers come in centered on this thing when it's a half stud over. If it's a full stud on either one, then it usually tries to push the car either side. So, but having this half stud offset, that pickup mechanism fits perfectly onto actually let's just run that for a sec so I can show it to you. I just love watching the gears turn and do nothing. This little gear is not doing anything right now. So let's wait till this thing gets fully centered again, sorts itself out. It's not a bad little mechanism. I actually like it. It's small enough. It's a lot smaller than my old version that I had with the monorail because I had to carry the shuttle farther. I had to grab it farther out from the center and get it over to the vehicle on top of the crater. But you will see, maybe if I hold it here and go down like that, you will see, I'm gonna put the guy right in the center. Let's see if you can see them. Might be better from the back. Let me just hurry up. Oops.